Welcome to RES Knowledge Center. Today I am going to describe about the Simon Commission. The Simon Commission was a group of 7 MPs from Britain who were sent to India in 1928 to study constitutional reforms and make recommendations to the government. The commission was originally named the Indian Estuary Commission. It came to be known as the Simon Commission after its chairman Sir John Simon. Stanley Baldwin was the Prime Minister of England that time. He served as the Prime Minister of England from 1924 to 1929. Appointment of Simon Commission. The Government of India Act 1919 had a provision that a commission would be appointed after 10 years to investigate the progress of the governance scheme and suggest new steps for further reforms. An announcement was made on 8 November 1927 to set up an all-white 7-member Indian Statutory Commission to recommend whether India was ready for further constitutional progress and on which lines. It comprised 7 British members of Parliament of the UK, including the Labour leader Clement Attlee, 1883 to 1967, who was subsequently the British Prime Minister between 1945 and 1951. Why the commission was appointed before schedule? Indian nationalists had for many years declared the constitutional reforms of 1919 as inadequate and had been clamoring for an early reconsideration of the constitutional question. But the government had been adamant that the declared period of 10 years must lapse before fresh proposals were considered. In 1927, however, the Conservative government of Britain under Stanley Baldwin's prime ministership feared with the prospect of electoral defeat at the hands of the Labour Party. It decided that it could not leave an issue which concerned the future of the British Empire in the irresponsible hands of an inexperienced Labour government. It was thus that the Indian Estuary Commission, popularly known as the Simon Commission, was appointed 2 years before the schedule. Reaction to Simon Commission India. The announcement came as a surprise. Indians were already in a state of frustration. The Congress was almost agendaless and no active program was there except the Khadi. The Swarajists were in the Legislative Council and had lost cohesiveness with the Congress. So for the agendaless Congress, Simon Commission came as a blessing in disguise and they got an issue to take up effectively. When they came to know that no Indian was included in the commission, they realized it was like depriving of their right to participate in the determination of the constitution of their own country. At the annual session of the Congress in Madras in December 1927, a resolution was passed which advocated the boycott of the Simon Commission at every stage and in every form. Other factions of the politicians also joined the suit. In Muslim League, there was a split of thought. Jinnah was for boycotting the commission, but Muhammad Safi was for support for the government. So in 1927, Muslim League had 2 sessions. One was led by Jinnah at Calcutta, where he opposed the commission. Another was held at Lahore, that was led by Muhammad Safi, where he supported the government. All parties in the India except the Safi group of Muslim League and a Justice Party at Madras were against the Simon Commission. After the arrival of Simon Commission in India, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar demanded separate electorate representative for the depressed classes, Dalits. Later in Round Table Conference, he played a major role. He criticized Mahatma Gandhi and his struggle for separate electorate ended with Pune Pact. It shielded the constitution rights for scheduled castes. The Simon Commission, upon its arrival in Bombay on 3rd February 1928, was greeted with strikes, protests, and black flags. The protests were repeated in each major city the commission visited, accompanied by the slogan, "Simon Go Back." On 30 October 1928, Simon Commission arrived in Lahore. It was during these demonstrations that the great leader Lala Lajpat Rai, who was popularly known as Sher-e-Punjab, was severely assaulted by the police at Lahore. He died on 17 November 1928 of the injuries inflicted on him by the police. The Central Legislative Assembly decided by a majority that it would have nothing to do with the commission. In order to overcome the protest, the Viceroy, Lord Irwin, announced and offered Dominion status for India in October 1929 and a round-table conference to discuss a future constitution. Impact of Simon Commission on Indian national movement. The Simon boycott movement provided the first taste of political action to a new generation of youth. It gave a fillip to the formation of youth leagues and associations all over the country. Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose emerged as the leader of this new wave of youth and students. The upsurge among the youth also provided a fruitful ground for the germination and spread of a new radical ideas of socialism that had begun to reach Indian shores. These new radical ideas also led to emergence of groups such as Naujawan Bharat Sabha in Punjab and the Workers and Peasants Parties etc. Lord Birkenhead's challenge to Indian leaders to produce an agreed constitutional scheme was accepted by various political factions. This brought them together on a common platform. Explicit and implicit objectives of Simon Commission: to delay the process of transfer of power from the British to the people, to further widen the communal feelings by the diametrically provisions which could be diametrically opposed to the interest of the two communities, to show the people that British were sincere in the efforts in giving people the self-rule, but it was Indians who could not decide for a consensus of power sharing, to give impression of a federal constitution so that weak center and a powerful province can be created. It would create feelings of regionalism, which is an antidote to nationalism, to give political autonomy without economic autonomy. Major recommendation of Simon Commission. The Simon Commission published its 2-volume report in May 1930. It proposed the abolition of diarchy and the establishment of representative government in the provinces. The report rejected parliamentary responsibility at the center. The recommended full autonomy to the provinces. The number of members of provincial legislative council should be increased. The governor should have discretionary power in relation to internal security and administrative powers to protect the different communities. The Governor General was to have complete power to appoint the members of the cabinet. The Government of India would have complete control over the high courts. It also recommended that separate communal electorates be retained and extended to other communities, but only until tensions between Hindus and Muslims had died down. It rejected the idea of universal franchisee. It accepted the idea of federalism but not in the near future. It also suggested that the Indian army should be Indianized, though British forces must be retained. Limitation of Simon Commission. No Indian members in the commission. No universal franchise was proposed. The position of Governor General remained unaffected. No provision to abolish separate electorate but rather extended to other communities as well. No financial devolution was proposed. The government showed no inclination of accepting the demand for Swaraj. Rest in next video. For more and more videos and to boost your knowledge, please subscribe, like and share our channel RES Knowledge Center that help you to take a step towards success.